Europe could not exist and attain the level of development it did without plundering the resources of Africa, both natural and human.
Welcome back to the channel. So today's video we are going to look at the comment made by the Prime Minister of Jamaica regarding a Western power, particularly the United States and the United Kingdom, argues that this country continue to maintain dominance over the African continent through the exploitation of its resources. According to him, this dominance is sustained with the help of a certain puppet government and corrupt leader within Africa. In this video, we will examine his statement and discuss what they could mean for Africa's future. So guys, make sure you watch this video until the every end. Afterward, I will share my thoughts and provide more detail. And if you're newer to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button.
Well, they know that. The West knows that. They're acutely aware of their actual total dependence upon Africa. If Africa manufactured, if they used their own resources, their own minerals, their own materials for their own industries, well, the entire economy of the West would collapse. And with the collapse of their economy, their whole so-called civilization would collapse. Africa is the foundation upon which they built their house. So they know this. And like I said, this is why no matter what else changes in the world, no matter how power dynamics shift in the world, the subjugation of Africa has been maintained for over 800 years. There's literally nothing more important to them than this. They tell you that if you nationalize, then there will be massive capital flight, investors will run away, and so on. Well, think about that for a second. They're trying to scare you with consequences that they themselves will be imposing. They're warning you that if you do something that is in your country's best interest, they will punish you. This is very different from telling you that the policy in and of itself is actually bad. They're telling you that they will make it a bad policy because of what they will do to you if you implement it. You understand? These people are threatening you, and then you're supposed to trust their advice? The advice of these neoliberal predators? You're supposed to listen to them and trust their advice when they are blatantly telling you that they will punish you if you do something to try to make things better, to try to change things? I mean, they couldn't make it more obvious, their malice. They couldn't make their malice more obvious. They couldn't make it any more obvious how against your best interests they are. How much they put their own private interests above the interests of their country. They're openly identifying themselves to you as your enemy. You understand me? I mean, they're not saying that nationalization doesn't work. They're not saying that it isn't beneficial. They're saying that they will do everything in their power to make sure it doesn't work. They're saying that they will sabotage nationalization for their own sake, for the sake of their own profit interests. And still you let this type of people have a say in policy discourse? Well, that's humiliating. They hold you in contempt and they don't even hide it. I mean, for instance, the nationalization of key sectors, such as mining, such as energy and finance. This is essential to try to break the stranglehold of foreign capital on your country, and to ensure that the country's resources are actually used for the benefit of the people and for the benefit of the domestic economy. The countries in the global south, in fact, they're in a position today to actually dictate the terms now. If Westerners want to pull out their capital, so say you nationalize, okay, if Westerners want to pull out their capital, they want to withdraw their investments, okay, go ahead. Dig around in your own lands for the minerals you need to make your stuff, and good luck to you. And all the global south countries, it's time for them to break away from this paradigm, break away from Western domination and start implementing all of those policies that they know perfectly well will benefit them, whether America likes it or not. I mean, can you imagine if the Gulf countries didn't put their oil sector under government control? Where would they be now? But look at where they are now. Look at the amount of capital they have now. No, this millennium-long system of subjugation needs to come to an end. And it really doesn't matter if the road to liberation is a little bit rocky. I'd rather be traversing a rocky road than be buried under the rubble, which is where the West has kept Africa for centuries. This is the richest and most important continent on the planet. And the West stole your riches and they stole your importance and they've been an imposter on the throne for far too long. It doesn't make any sense to be afraid of someone whose power is actually dependent upon you. That's a psychological power, not an actual power. They have a psychological power over you. But every element of their real power is completely derived from you yourselves. It's like your hand is on the tap that the hose is attached to that they use to waterboard you. And all you have to do is turn it off.
Here are 4 strategic African countries that the United States and its allies in the West has captured to keep a hold of Africa and keep Africa enslaved. Number 1, Nigeria. Yes, if you control Nigeria, you control the whole of West Africa. Nigeria, of course, they've got a good network of roads from Nigeria to other West African countries. They've got air transport well linked to all the cities in West Africa. And Nigeria militarily is the biggest. You know, Americans have made Nigeria the biggest military deliberately so that they can easily control West Africa, intimidate other countries. That's how they've kept control. And recently, they pampered the Nigerian economy artificially to become Africa's biggest, when it's not true. You cannot have Africa's biggest economy with 13 million people threatened by hunger in 2024. It doesn't happen. You can't hear of hunger in South Africa. I mean, Gauteng alone in South Africa is the biggest economy. You can't compare with any country, but it's just a district in South Africa. So it's not true that Nigeria is the biggest economy. Americans twerk. They brought down the South African economy. Remember what they did with the banks, conniving with the banks to bring down the rand and all that, so that they should lose track when it comes to Standard & Poor credit rating? Yeah, that's America trying to pamper Nigeria. And why did they pamper Nigeria like that? They were trying to hit back at South Africa for joining the BRICS. Yeah, you get it? So, control Nigeria, you control West Africa. And you know, when they pamper these people, they pamper them socially as well. Nigerians feel like they're top dogs in West Africa, you know, and you know, you cannot talk to a Nigerian about Pan-Africanism. Have you heard a Nigerian talking about Pan-Africanism? If there is, very few. But they don't talk Pan-Africanism. You know, they feel like they're top dogs, America is with them and all that. You know, they pamper them socially, deliberately, so that they should have no feelings for any other West African country when it's suffering under the boot of the United States and its allies. And, you know Nigerians with Israel. You know, Israel is their heaven, their promised land. You know, you cannot talk to a Nigerian about genocide in Israel. You know, you can't, because they did a good job of brainwashing Nigerians in that area. Let's not even go there. Country number 2, Egypt. Yes, control Egypt, you control North Africa. All the countries, Libya, Algeria, Tunisia, Sudan, Ethiopia, they are under Egypt. Egypt is superior militarily, economically, and Egypt is well linked by road, by rail, by air transport, you know, very well linked in North Africa. And as usual, the Americans have pampered the Egyptians to feel that they are most important people in North Africa. So when they hear that this such country, like they did to Libya, devastating that country, the Egyptians were just, oh, well, it's none of our business. We're good with the United States, you know. So they have pampered them economically, socially, so that they should have no feelings for any other. Like they're eating on the same table, but they're not really. They're just another African country that they're exploiting, you know. And that's how the United States plays this game. So you control Egypt, you control North Africa. Third country that the United States and its allies strategically controls on the African continent is Kenya. Kenya is well placed strategically. The rails and road networks from Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, all of them connect to Kenya. And they did that deliberately because they want to get a good grip on East Africa. The United States deliberately made the Kenyan army the strongest army. And that's for a reason. They're sending them into Haiti to keep the peace in Haiti. But in actual fact, they're doing the dirty work for the United States in Haiti. They're doing that in Somalia already. They sent their troops in Somalia on the orders of the United States to keep the peace in Somalia. But they're doing the dirty work there. They're simply trying to make sure that all East African countries are kept in check and the United States keeps its control over the eastern part of Africa. Yes, talk to a Kenyan about Pan-Africanism. How many Kenyans have spoken Pan-Africanism? One guy, Patrice Lumumba, I give it up to him. I give it up to you, sir. But he's a lone star. Kenyans don't share the same sentiments with Patrice Lumumba when it comes to Pan-Africanism. He's like a desert flower, rose. I don't know what they call those flowers that you just find in the desert, just there, alone in the middle of nowhere. That's Patrice Lumumba. Kenyans have been socially pampered by the Americans to feel superior to everybody in East Africa. There's a reason for that. That's what Americans do best. They pamper you so that you feel nothing for the others who are suffering. Just look at what they've done with our African leaders. They are so rich, they are billionaires, but they are running the poorest countries on earth, and they feel no remorse. Fourth country that the United States and its allies in the West control is South Africa. Yes, if you control South Africa, you control the whole of Southern Africa. South Africa has got a good road network into Africa, rail, air, and if you control the South African economy, you control the whole of Southern African economy. And the United States was very scared when they saw that, these guys, they've gone to BRICS. These guys have kicked Israel out. But Ramaphosa is paying a big price for that because they are coming hard on him. They want a regime change. In this 2024 election, the ANC has lost its majority in parliament. They've divided the South Africans so good. As usual, the Americans, they have pampered the South Africans to make them feel like they're the most special guys in Southern Africa, and they won't care a thing about Pan-Africanism because the Americans do it best. They'll pamper you to make you feel important and part of them. And South Africans are light-skinned. Maybe they feel like they're closer to the white skin. Maybe. Because they voted for a white party, DA. The party that says in its manifesto that they'll never give the land back to the black people. That's the party that South Africans have voted for to keep it in second place and very, very close to power. But the party that speaks Pan-Africanism like the EFF, they've kicked it so far down to fourth place. And very, very soon, the DA might start ruling South Africa, slow by slow. America wants South Africa back, and they want to punish Ramaphosa. And the Americans are sending a message that if you stand against America and Israel, you're going to pay the price. And this is the message they're sending to Ramaphosa right now. So the Americans are fighting to get South Africa back. This is exactly what is happening. America has gotten hold of the whole of Africa using 4 countries: Nigeria, Egypt, Kenya, and South Africa.
As we come to the end of this video, I want to leave you with a few thoughts. The comment made by the Prime Minister of Jamaica raised an important question that deserves a serious discussion. Whether you agree with him completely, partially, or not at all, one thing is clear: African relationship with power and nation has shaped the continent history for generations. The debate is not simply about politics, it's about resources, economy, independence, leadership, and the future millions of people. Africa is one of the richest continents in terms of natural resources. It possesses a vast reserve of mineral, oil, gas, fertile land, and young and energetic population. Yet, many African countries continue to struggle with the power and employment debate and development. This contradiction is what makes conversations like this so important. What cannot be denied is that the future of Africa must ultimately be decided by the Africa. No foreign government, no international organization, no outsider power can build the continent better than its own people. Real progress comes within the citizen demand. Transparency, when leaders put a national interest before personal interest, and when the country wealth is invested in education, healthcare, and opportunity for the future generation. Many people argue that foreign power have benefited from Africa's resources for decades. Others believe that the biggest challenge is not external influence but a poor governance, corruption, and weak institutions. Within Africa countries themselves, the truth may lie somewhere in between. External interests a certain play a role, but leadership, accountability, and responsibility management of resources are equally important. The world is changing rapidly. New economy power are emerged. Global alliances are shifting, and African nations have more opportunity than never before to determine their own path. The decision made today will make a change for decades to come. This is why informed discussion and critical thinking and active civil are so important. As always, I encourage you to do your own research, examine different things, and think critical about the issue discussed in this video. Don't simply accept one narrative, listen and learn, question, and from your own based on the factor evidence. Now I'd like to hear from you. Do you agree with the Prime Minister of Jamaica? Do you believe foreign power continuing to exert significant control over Africa resources and political affairs, or do you think Africa's greatest challenge come within? Share your thoughts in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video and found it informative, please give it a like, share it within others, and subscribe to the channel for more discussion on African affairs, global politics, and current events. Thank you so much for watching. Stay informed, stay engaged, and remember that meaningful change begins within awareness and action. Until the next time, take care and God bless you.